It's time that we have a serious conversation about Be Melodramatic. And yes, I'm talking about the K-drama that came out way back in 2019, but I am a newbie to watching K-dramas, okay? So I'm just not seeing it in our good year of in our interesting year of 2024. And based on my preliminary analysis, it seems as though the show was grossly underrated. So today we're going to talk about why the show was so great and also speculate as to why it wasn't a huge success the way it deserved to be. Hi, my name is Carrie, and if you stumbled upon this video, you either watch a lot of K-dramas or a lot of TV in general, and you're looking for a community where we do deep dives on a show that you loved or love to hate. So welcome, that is what I'm trying to create here. So Be Melodramatic. Before I get too far into it, I should say there will be some spoilers. If you were looking for show recommendations with no spoilers, you can follow me on TikTok at Casual Ticks, where I give just general recommendations on if a show is worth watching or not. Hopefully by the time you're watching this video, TikTok hasn't been banned yet. Now let's talk about what made this show so great. I like to use a ranking system to organize my thoughts, or else I have a hard time comparing shows to shows. So a show gets 1 star if the acting is good. Now this is a pretty low threshold. Really, I'm just looking for anyone who glaringly is untalented. You know, the girl from Romance in the House, for example. No shade, but anyway, the cast of Be Melodramatic, fabulous job, no complaints, so they get 1 star. The 2nd star is for storyline. Is the storyline unique, or is it something that we've seen time and time again? Now, I wrestled with this for Be Melodramatic because on the one hand, it was a collection of things we've seen before. A group of friends living together, a writer narrating her life through her work, and us hearing that narration. But in this instance, the subplots were so unique that I decided to get a star anyway. I haven't seen any K-drama that portrays a young mom or even young parent in general as someone who isn't an outcast, someone who has friends still who support them, someone who still is very deserving and wants love and a good time. So I appreciate that the show gave me that portrayal, and also that one friend who was grieving the loss of her boyfriend. That was a phenomenal portrayal of grief, and so that simply cannot be ignored. Now, this 3rd star is very, very important to me, okay? It is if a show has no unnecessary episodes. Now, if you watch K-dramas, you know what I mean. There could be 2 to 4 episodes of filler. But with this show, I don't think there were any filler extra episodes at all. In fact, it kind of reminds me of watching a sitcom growing up where a show could have 20 to 25 episodes in a season, and not every episode has something huge and monumental happening, but you don't get bored with it because you're still entertained every single episode. That's what this show is giving. And by episode 10 of a K-drama rom-com, I'm usually like, okay, where's the kiss from the main couple? You're dragging it out. But I wasn't feeling that way in this show because I was entertained. I was okay with by episode 10 the main couple hadn't kissed yet because I was so enthralled in the nuances of all the storylines. Now, the 4th star goes to plot holes. Does the show have no plot holes? Right? Basically, how much do I have to suspend my belief or common sense? Now, I'm okay with things being unrealistic. Like, let's say someone has a power all of a sudden they've developed overnight. That's fine. I can get with that. How did they get the power? Are there any contradictions as you explain and go through the episodes? Are there any contradictions on how this power works? Like, these are the things that matter to me. Anyway, I don't know why I'm going on a rant about superpowers. The point is, I hate a plot hole because, like, how you could have just written something up to close it up. But fortunately, I did not spot any plot holes or inconsistencies in Be Melodramatic. Let me know if I missed them. Now, this last star goes for, did the show end well? Some shows will start out amazingly and then will die out somewhere episode 3, 6, or 12. And then some shows will actually do the heinous crime of having an amazing execution all the way through, and the finale will be crappy. But I love the way they wrapped up Melodramatic. I loved how we got to watch them map out and plan out how they were going to watch the show. If you know, you know, right? Like, they're talking through, are we going to make this couple get married? Are we going to have this couple fall apart? Like, I liked watching, like, behind the curtain, them deciding what was going to happen to each group of characters. Now, the storyline that I was the most interested in seeing play out was the storyline amongst the single mom and her junior employee, because they were giving a vibe the whole show, obviously. But by episode 14, I'm like, there's no way they need to put these 2 people together because he just now broke up with his toxic girlfriend for good. So I don't need him jumping ship from that situation to this situation. But I really liked, and I sense that there's some hot takes on this, but I really liked that they gave his relationship nuance. And I'm talking about the junior employee here. It would have been very easy to shallowly, if that's a word, explore his relationship from one point of view and just say, like, she's toxic, she's trash, he's an angel. Like, they could have just painted her as the ultimate villain and left it there. And I don't think anyone would have been upset at that. But I like that they took it a step further, and his manager, aka the single mom, she said to him, or painted the picture for him, like, you loved the idea of her more than you loved her in actuality. Like, you loved the idea of her, but you did not actually love her. And honestly, that's harmful too. If you don't love someone, like, you don't like anything that they do, it's kind of cruel to stay with them and just consistently point out their flaws instead of letting them loose. And he tried, admittedly, on his part, he did try, and she kept coming back, which is where she's the problem as well. But he wanted her there also, it seems, and he just wanted her to change and be who he wanted her to be, and that's not fair. So yeah, I like that she kind of was able to read through him, and I'm okay with them not ending up together. I'm okay with her ending up with some random guy. The only thing I'm not okay with is how they seemingly left it open-ended of, like, did he get back with his ex-girlfriend or not? Because no matter what, like, they don't need to be back together. And on that same note, the only other critiques I had are, one, I didn't like how they talk so negatively about their weight. And two, I find it interesting that they had a gay couple in the show, but gave them zero romance. Like, yes, we know that they ultimately got married, but we didn't actually see any of their romance for ourselves. It seems like the only storyline that we got to see from them for ourselves, and not just through reference, was homophobia. Now, here in the States, a show will get a lot of pushback if you only show the trauma of certain groups rather than their joy. For example, only portraying Black people as it relates to slavery or gang violence, or showing people in the queer community having to be tormented by homophobia instead of showing them happily in love. But I understand that it's cultural, and I want to make this very clear. I am not judging them for this. That would be like me being mad at Tyra Banks for being toxic AF in America's Next Top Model now, when we were all soaking it up, eating it up back then. We as a society did not see her behavior as problematic. It was socially acceptable back then. And so similarly, I think Be Melodramatic was as progressive as it could be as a show, especially for its time, especially considering the fact that, you know, we still don't see a lot of happy queer romance in shows. And this show came out 5 years ago. So I think it was way ahead of its time. Now, with all that said, you'll notice I gave the show 5 out of 5 stars. Now, I know that's just my opinion, but it seems like folks around the world, and particularly in South Korea, agree with that as well. Google's summary of ratings gave it a 4.9 out of 5. It received an 8 out of 10 on IMDb, and users on AsianWiki.com gave it a score of 88 out of 100. But wait, didn't I start this video off by saying the show was grossly underrated? Well, it turns out if you watched the show, you loved it, but a lot of people never even tuned in. According to Wikipedia, the average AGB Nielsen rating for the show was only 1.488%. The AGB Nielsen rating calculates like what percentage of a certain population is tuning into a show. A good AGB Nielsen rating for cable TV has a score of anywhere from 3 to 10%. And for really popular shows, even higher than 10%. So the fact that Be Melodramatic came in at 1.488 is not looking good. Also, another measure that I go by is how many comments I see in my TV Time app. Episode 1, for example, only had 161 comments, so I knew it was like, okay, this is not a huge hit. And if I compare the number of comments on that show to another show that came out in 2019, like let's say Love Alarm, which people either loved or hated, which mostly hated. That first episode of Love Alarm has more than 3 times as many comments as that first episode did of Be Melodramatic. And lastly, Be Melodramatic did not receive any awards. It was nominated for Best Original Soundtrack, in the Melon Music Awards and at the Mnet Asian Music Awards, but it didn't win an award at either show. It lost to a song called Remember Me from Hotel de Luna. And also the actress from Be Melodramatic who plays the one that is grieving the loss of her boyfriend, she was nominated as Best New Actress. But instead, the leading actress from Sky Castle won that category. Now, I haven't watched Hotel de Luna or Sky Castle, so I don't have an opinion on that. But I am seeing that Hotel de Luna won 5 awards that year. It also had an average AGB Nielsen of over 10%. And it premiered just 1 month before Be Melodramatic did. So did Be Melodramatic even have a chance? If I had to guess, I'd say that was really what it is. It was just not, it was up against stiff competition at the time. But anyway, I'm hoping it gets some well-deserved praise now that it's on Netflix. We will just have to wait and see. Please let me know if you enjoyed this video, like or comment. Let me know if you disagree with any of my takes, or if you have any recommendations about what I should talk about next.